Start your engine.
Green flag, green flag. The gas is on the right, man. Go. Remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. Watch it.
Car high.
Phoebish do fellow reloaders, this is Jace, coming to you with Not Your Common Ammo, and today, folks, I have had some big breakthroughs. We're going to go over a lot today. I stumbled onto one is, primers are really hard to get a hold of, and two, that there is, if you're going to reload, you're going to reload all the way. Go all the way. All right? So, I found that you can actually reload primers. Now, I know you're saying, Jace, you're a little tardy to the party, but, well, better late than never. Now, my friends, look, there are several different parts to a primer. You've got the primer cup, which is the primer compound goes in there, and then you've got this little bit right here. Now, these guys, these little tiny guys, they are just absolutely, that is the anvil. And they fit right inside your primer. If I can get a primer here, let me get a primer. They fit in just like that, right? Out, in. All right, so now you can put different compounds inside that primer cup as long as it makes a contact and it pushes up against the anvil and ignites. There's a couple different ways to do that, a couple of which will end you up on a government list. I don't want to be on a government list. So, we'll go with the easiest route. Well, I shouldn't say the easiest route, but the one that won't end us up on a government list. So, what you will need to get the primer, the anvil, out of the primer cup is, now I made this. Okay, forgive me for this. I took a nail and I just filed the end down just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. That way it's a little bit more pointed. That way I can get right in there and twist that guy around and pop him right out. Now when you pop these guys out, be very careful. I normally hold the primer. I hold the primer just like thusly, and then I'll give it a little twist. Okay, now when I give it a little twist, my anvil will come out. See, I've done a few of them. The anvil will come out. Now if that guy takes off, they're small enough, they're small enough that you're gonna have a hard time finding them. You're really gonna have a hard time finding them. That's how tiny those guys are. Okay, and that's that. Now, once you get the primer taken apart, you're going to want to take a punch. I just used the end of this guy and a hammer, and there is a divot. Let's see if I can find one that I did from earlier, because I knocked out a whole mess of them. Beforehand, this is what this looks like. You got that little divot in there, right? And that's on the back side. You look down into the primer cup, you can see right where it hit. Now, if I can find one, I should have had this done a little bit earlier. You want to be, where'd it go? Right there. You want them to be flat on the inside. Alright, and I am having a hard time finding this guy. He's so tiny. Find the end of your finger there. You want that interior part of the cup to be flat. Okay, so you can get like this one. This one's been knocked back too. Alright, and focus. Focus. There we go. He's been knocked back and not completely out. You're not going to get him completely out, but you're going to get that interior flat. Just as flat as you can get her. Okay? And then, what you're going to do is you're going to take a bowl of water. And you're going to take these guys. I think you guys remember these from being a little kid, those little snap poppy things. You take these and dunk it in water for about 5 seconds. Now you'll know when they're done soaking, they'll straighten out. And when they straighten out, you just take your fingernail and just kind of rub at the end, and then you can pull this red off. It's like a real fine tissue paper, kind of tissue papery tape. And me, I used 9 of them. I took 9 of them and I scraped them down. I scraped them off because they're still wet. So you scrape them off of the tape. You just scrape them off the tape. And then you use a toothpick. Use a toothpick. And you push them all into that cup. And then, again, I used the end of my drill bit, tamped it down nice and tight, put the anvil in, push the anvil on, give her another tamp down, and then I turned around and I kind of just give her a little bit of a squeeze, okay? And that is a reloaded primer. Now, we must make do with what we have, okay? Now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 11 of these, okay? So I want to turn around, and now I can go and reload 11 rounds, okay? Now, I got to wait for these to dry because, yes, they were in water, okay? And now I just got to let them dry. Okay, you don't want to close up the bullet. You don't want to put those into a bullet and then turn around and put them into a bullet and turn around, put powder, and then seal the other end off with a bullet, because you're just gonna seal out the air. These guys need air to dry. So we'll just go with that. I took this nail, like I said. Took the nail and I just filed it down. I'm not using it to pierce anything or anything like that. All I'm using it for is a tool, just to kind of give a little bit of rotation and get up underneath the anvil and kind of just give her a pop out of there. Okay, that's all I need. All I need is just a little bit of force. Now, I've seen people use dental picks, which is all fine and dandy. But the dental picks, the problem with that is that sometimes they're not the stoutest of things, and they're really kind of weak. And if they're weak, they're not going to hold the force very well, and you're not going to be able to get your anvil out. Okay, so yeah, well, that's just a part of the learning process there. So, and I found that out the hard way because I tried it and the dental pick just didn't work, because you got to put a little bit of force onto these guys. These are hardened large rifle primers, and yes, I'm putting them back into a jar. So this is where I'm going to be keeping them, okay? And right now I'm not going to do a whole heck of a lot with them. Well, I'm going to do 27 more. This way will keep you off certain lists the military or the government likes to keep on people. So, not wanting to be on a list, I've done it this way. And the other way, it's a chemistry set. You buy a huge chemistry set, you mix things together, you boil things, and then you turn around and mix them together and hope to God you got it right. In the right proportion, in the right series, it works out fine. Okay? It's a stopgap measure. Okay? It'll get us there. There's a few repercussions. Yes, you have to clean your weapon after you get done firing these types of bullets. But the thing is, you should be cleaning your gun anyway. You know, a good clean gun, work in proper working order. One, cleaning your gun gets you to know your weapon better, its idiosyncrasies, the way it works, everything. So the first thing I do is when I purchase a new weapon, that's the first thing I do is I go through and I clean the weapon, and I get to know its idiosyncrasies. You know, get to know your weapon. All right. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I am going to kind of flip this down, and we're going to come to the side. We're going to come to the side here, right? And I'm going to show you how I do this. Okay, so the first thing is, what you want to do is you grab a piece of these guys. Back in the old days, these little snap pops, yeah, they were all over the place. You could get them, all this kind of stuff. Now, a lot of people just cut out the little discs, and then they leave the paper in the back. Well, that paper is still non-flammable, and it will not burn. It's got bits of plastic in it, and it's very rigid. Okay, you don't want that. And well, if you don't want that into your primer, because that's just one more thing to clean up. So what you do is you take a piece, put it in there. You know it's done when it straightens out. Straightens out, flip it off, and then do this. Okay, now I do this. Me being left-handed, I do this. I come in, I don't know if you can see, and I scrape the corner. See how the corner's kind of scraped? And then I will ever so gently use my fingernail and see how it's kind of flipped up there? And then this gives me something to hold on to. Okay, see how it's up there? And just grab on and just pull that off. Just like that. You throw that away, and then you come up here. You line this guy up. Now, again, I am left-handed, so I'm going to come at this like this, because I got to get it at the left-handed angle. I hold my knife at a 90-degree angle, and I just slide with my finger in back. If you can see my finger back here, I just slide, because this is going to be like wet sand. This is just going to be there. Just like that. And get her in there. And just bring this up. Just like that. Now, you get a little residue on the end of your knife there. That is going to happen. You're going to get a little residue there. That's okay. If 90% of that snap cap gets in there, snap pops gets in there, I'm happy with it. Hell, I'd be happy with just 80% going in there. Okay. And then I come through with a punch. Come through with a punch. Just kind of tamp it down just a little bit. Okay. Then I take said anvil. Now there's two sides to this, like I said. See how that pointed end? I want that pointed end in there. Okay. Now, it doesn't take a whole lot to get these to seat. Okay. There you go. Just like that. we got primer. There we go. Just like that. Alright. And then hold your knife at a 90-degree angle. Right down the paper. Right. Just like that. My reloading friends, I've done a couple of these. See how I already done a few here. And what you don't want to do is have the water in the primer cup. You got to let them dry for at least 24 hours. That way, when you put your powder and your projectile in, when you put all this stuff together, when you put your primer, powder, projectile all together, you're not sealing water inside your primer, okay? Because with the primer, you want that to be dry, okay? And if you seal it off with all that other stuff, it's not going to work right, okay? So you want them to dry before you use them. I'm going to show what else I've been doing. All right. Besides the primer, I've been making black powder. Yep. Right now it's drying, and the gun cotton is drying, and I will show you that as well. As soon as these guys get done drying, we're just waiting for things to dry. That's all we're waiting to do. That's all we're waiting to do. Now, as soon as this is done, we'll get on with it. All right? So, hang in there. Be right back. Oh, now we're out at the reloading bench. First things first, we've got our powder all set up, throwing correct charges and making sure. Here's our brass, nothing there. We got a primer on the press. Primer's right there. We are ready to go. So I'm going to pull this down, load my brass in, keep going down, and push it in. Okay, giving her a little bit of force, and then back up. There we go. And we've got a primed piece of brass. Now, the next step, I'm going to do all these. I'm going to do this in sections, okay? It takes two hands to do this, and I'm doing it one-handed. So I'm going to prime all of these. Got the primers here, going to prime all these, and then I'm going to throw the charges, okay? I'll show you each step. See, we got the powder in, ready to go. We got all the stuff ready. I've got my comparators back there, and we've got the calipers. So we're going to make sure that everything gets done right. Okay, so I'll see you when the next step comes up, which would be right about. Okay, so now we're getting ready to throw the charge. We've got it at 43 grains. I'm going to put this in there, just like that. And I'm going to swing the arm. Just like this. You're not going to be able to see everything, but for the most part, it's going to be just like that. Turn the powder on. We're going to drop the charge. And there we go. Charge is in there. Put it off to the side. Don't get your empties mixed with your fulls, because if you double charge that, it could end up being a bad day. So don't double charge that. All right, now onward we go. Now I'm seating the bullets. We got the charges in. They're weighed out, ready to go. And I'm getting ready to put my projectile on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got this turned all the way back out, and then I'm going to bring it down and just kind of give it a bump, and now I can measure from there. I can measure from there where it's supposed to be.